Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to take a look at the discography of a very cool Canadian heavy metal band. They're one of the first kind of speed metal acts, right? Not quite thrash. Back when we were calling what we later became known as thrash speed metal. We're talking about the power trio from Canada called Exciter. Now, they've got 10 studio albums of all original new material. They do have 11 studio albums in total. One of them is more like a re-recording of a bunch of their old stuff, so we're not going to talk about that one. So we're just going to look at the 10 full-length studio albums here today. And so we're going to get started. I'm going to go, of course, from number 10 all the way to number 1. So my least favorite to my favorite. And I don't have all of these in physical copy. I've got a handful of them in physical CDs. The others I never bought on CD or LP or anything like that, but I've heard them all. So we're going to rank them as I like them, right? And then once I'm done, in the comments below, you guys should rank the albums as you like them as well, right? Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. All depends on what we like, right? So number 10, all right, we're going to go back to 1988, their fifth album, which is just self-titled, Exciter. All right, I'm trying to hold up some pictures here for the ones that, there we go. Okay, also known as OTT or Over the Top, right? Fifth album, Dan Beehler, their longtime drummer and lead vocalist from the very beginning. At least on the first three albums, he sung everything. First four albums, actually. Here on this fifth album, he's no longer singing lead vocals. They brought in a new vocalist named Rob Malnati. Okay, for this particular album. This album's kind of moving away from that raw, rough and ready, speedy, thrashy early sound to a little bit more of a cleaner metal sound. I mean, it is 1988, right? So Exciter want to kind of get in on the craze of all the hard rock and metal bands selling lots of records, right? So they've cleaned up their sound a little bit here. I think it's mostly due to Rob's vocals, though, which I think are kind of like a weird fit on this album. They kind of stick out a little bit. At spots they don't really match the music. In other songs, he does match the songs, but the songs don't sound much like Exciter anymore. A good chunk of the songs here are decent enough. You got Scream, Bloody Murder, which is really good. Back in the Light. Ready to Rock, that's a song that sounds like any number of faceless commercial hard rock metal bands of the time. I think that's my issue with a lot of this album. The song OTT is terrible. Don't like that at all. I Want to Be King sounds like a mediocre leftover song that Dokken never used. However, you got songs like Enemy Lines, which absolutely cranks. Dying to Live, though, not very good at all. I think that it's kind of a messy album for me. The band seems they're trying to fit in with a lot of the hit makers of the day and try and retaining some of their identity, but it doesn't really work. You got couple songs are really good. Some are just kind of laughably bad for Exciter anyway. And I just don't think Rob's vocals fit in this band, and he didn't stay with them for too long. So that is my number 10. I'm going to go with Exciter from 1988. Number 9. We're going to go, I'm just trying to find the cover art here. All right. 2010s. Death Machine. All right. This is their most recent album. Yep, they haven't done anything since, so it's going on 12 years now. So here you got a guy named Kenny Metalmouth Winter on kind of raspy lead vocals. Kind of sounds like if you took like Blitz from Overkill and Zetro from Exodus, put them together. That's kind of what he sounds like. This album is kind of run-of-the-mill thrash at this point. Title track's really good, though. Dungeon Descents is really good. Pray for Pain is a really manic, relentless song. Power and Domination is kind of doomy, right? But overall, it doesn't really sound a hell of a lot like Exciter anymore at this point. They kind of sound like just any other thrash band, which, earlier in their career, you would never say that because they had a very distinguishable sound. So, but not a terrible album by any means. Not terrible. Just kind of like, late period Exciter. They've had so many lineup changes over the years, and it just, to me, it sounds a little going through the motions, and it just doesn't sound identifiable anymore. But, like I said, not terrible. Not terrible. All right, number 8. We're going to go with their 2008 release called Thrash Speed Burn. All right. This is actually Kenny Metalmouth Winter's first album with the band on vocals. I don't really like the production of this album. It's really muddy. Bass and drums are really heavy in the mix. The guitars need to be a little bit more up front. The songs are actually pretty good, though. The title track, Rages, although, yeah, on the chorus it kind of sounds a little bit like Anthrax or Exodus with kind of like the gang vocals and stuff. You know, that's been done to death over the years. Massacre Mountain's a good track. Crucifixion has some great riffs. I love the absolutely pulverizing Demon's Gate. You got the speed metal blazer, Rot the Devil King, really good song. I think it's a decent enough album. If it had better production, I would probably rank it a little bit higher, I think. So that's my number 8. Number 7, we're going to go with, let me see if I can find, okay, Blood of Tyrants from 2000. Here we have a guy named Jacques Belanger on lead vocals. He sang on a couple albums from the band. He's got kind of like this Rob Halford meets King Diamond meets John Arch from Fate's Warning kind of vocal style. Maybe a little Eric Adams from Manowar, which is kind of strange for this band, but it kind of works. There's some crushing songs on here. Metal Crusaders, Rule with an Iron Fist. You got the Punishing Predator, the mid-paced heavy instrumental War Cry, which is really good. The monstrously heavy Weapons of Mass Destruction. This might be their heaviest album. It's pretty damn heavy. Usually with this band, their stuff is always fairly heavy, but usually it's really speedy, right, and fast and raging and whatnot. This is like more, the way it's kind of produced definitely comes off much, much heavier and crushing than some of their other albums. So that's that one. All right, so next up we're going to go to 1997. My number 6 is The Dark Command. All right. 7th album. Here, John Ritchie, their original guitar player, he left for a bit. He comes back on guitar. This is the first album with Jacques Belanger on vocals. You got Mark Charon on bass and Richard Charon on drums, 2 brothers. Another one of those examples of a pretty strong album that's marred by terrible production. The drums sound like big empty tin cans. The guitars don't quite have enough punch. The vocals are way too loud in the mix. Though the songs are actually really good. They're heavy, they're ripping and fast in spots. The title track just pulverizes. You got Assassins in Rage is completely blazing. You got really, really great riffing going on. The lengthy Ritual Death, which is a fantastic track. You got the big, massive Let Us Pray, which might be my favorite song on the album. Man, I just wish the production was better. But the album, the songs, the way the songs are arranged and written, and the way Belanger is singing on this album, it sounds very much like a Manowar album from right around the same time period. In fact, he even sounds like Eric Adams quite a bit in spots, as opposed to the other album where he's got that Halford thing going on, the King Diamond thing, the John Arch thing. Here he kind of settles into one style for the whole album. Pretty good. Like I said, if it had better production, this might have even ranked higher. It was really, really good. All right, my number 5 album is going to be Kill After Kill, okay, which is from 1992. Here the band signs to Noise Records. You got Dan Beeler, their drummer and vocalist, who left for a little bit. He's back in the band on drums and vocals. John Ritchie back on guitars. He also, Ritchie, however he says his name, he's back on guitars. He was gone for a little bit. You got David Ledden on bass. This album is a complete throwback to their earlier first couple albums. All right, raging thrash and speed metal. It's very raw. Production is very raw. You got Reign of Terror, brutally fast song. Cold-blooded murder, just nonstop heavy metal action on that one. Smashing Them Down, Crushes. Born to Kill is another great song. I think it's a really strong album. The production is just so raw. It's kind of lacking in spots, especially on the vocals. They sound like he's singing out of a cavern. But I like the songs a lot. Again, half of this catalog, if the production was a little bit better, I mean, maybe that's just the thing with Exciter, right? I mean, it's like, because I don't mind it on the first couple albums, on the first 2 albums. Here, though, you're thinking by 92, maybe they would have cleaned things up just a little bit. Not really, but that's okay. All right, so now here we go with number 4, and I can get rid of the iPad here because now I've got all these. We're gonna go with their 4th album, Unveiling the Wicked, from 1986. Kind of a strange but cool cover, right? So here, John Ritchie, or Ricky, leaves the band. Got new guitarist Brian McPhee comes into the band. For me, it's still one of their classic albums, although, the speed is kind of toned down a bit on this album. They're going for more kind of like mid-paced heavy metal stuff on here. But still really good. You got Break Down the Walls, absolutely killer track to start off the album. You got Brainstorm, which is kind of like this minute and a half little like eruption type of thing for new guitarist Brian McPhee to show off his stuff. You got Die in the Night, more of a crunchy mid-paced metal anthem. Some great vocal screams from Dan Beeler, who's actually, I really like his vocals. I always have. You got the mashing Shout It Out, the slow and heavy Living Evil, the manic, fast-paced Live Fast, Die Young. Of course, how could it be anything else? The crunchy Mission Destroyed. Some people I think were a little down on Exciter when this album came out because it wasn't that relentless fest that the first three albums are. But I think despite that, and despite the fact that it's not an all-out speed fest, I think the songs are really good, and it's actually a really heavy album. It's just not as manic as some of the stuff on their first couple albums, but still really, really good. So that's my number 4. Coming in at number 3, the top 3 were almost impossible for me to rank because I love all 3 of them almost equally. So this ranking could change tomorrow, right? I just had to put something down here. I'm going to go with Violence and Force from 1984, which is their second album. Absolutely killer, no filler. This was released on Megaforce Records, produced by Carl Canady from the Rods, also along with Johnny Z, who just left us recently from Megaforce Records. It's rough, it's raw, but it's blazing from start to finish. The title track, completely relentless and raging. Just such a great, great song. You got Scream in the Night, the pounding metal, the speed metal ripper Swords of Darkness. You got the massive Delivering to the Master. You got War is Hell. Just an absolutely killer album. If you haven't heard Violence and Force, you need to check it out. It's just so good. One of the early great speed metal albums from the early 80s. Just an amazing album. Coming in at number 2, the 1 and 2 is so tough for me. So I almost picked this as number 1 because this album was me and the guys I hung out with and my brother, we listened to this album a ton back in the day. But, I think that my number 1 just has to be there. But I'm going to go with Long Live the Loud. What a great album. Great album cover. Fallout and Long Live the Loud that start off the album is a killer 1-2 punch to get things going. It's kind of like Halion and Electric Eye from Screaming for Vengeance by Judas Priest. You get that opening little kind of brief instrumental, big bombastic, and then whammo, you go into the heavy opening track, right? So just amazing. If you have never heard this album, go out and listen to Fallout and Long Live the Loud from this album. It's just absolutely terrific. You got the breakneck I Am the Beast. You got the dark Victims of Sacrifice. You got the epic manic Beyond the Gates of Doom, the crushing Wake Up Screaming. Just a really, really great album that is only eclipsed by my number 1, the debut from 1983. Heavy Metal Maniac, along with that classic album cover. There's the trio on the back, just absolutely kicking ass. What a debut. This one came out on Shrapnel Records. The original trio of Dan Beeler on drums and vocals, John Ritchie on guitars, and Alan Johnson on bass. And again, another really cool 1-2 punch instrumental opening track, Holocaust and Stand Up and Fight. It just explodes to start off the album. You got the title track as a thrash classic. You got killer riffs. Iron Dogs, grinding Mistress of Evil. I love that great chorus on that. You get the manic Under Attack, Rising of the Dead. And the sleeper track on here is the atmospheric, kind of proggy, really heavy Black Witch. Cry of the Banshee, and then you got the bonus track, which was recorded at the same sessions, World War III, which is on the reissue. Just a great album. Quite frankly, for those watching and are wondering, well, Pete, you threw a lot of stuff at us here. Where would you start here? These 3 are mandatory. The first 3 albums are just so great. Unveiling the Wicked would be my number 4 for you, obviously ranked number 4. But I would definitely say if you want to investigate this band and want to know what they're all about, the first 3, just go out and get them. They're absolute classics. So there you go. Number 1, Heavy Metal Maniac. Number 2, Long Live the Loud. Number 3, Violence and Force. Number 4, Unveiling the Wicked. Number 5, Kill After Kill. Number 6, The Dark Command. Number 7, Blood of Tyrants. Number 8, Thrash Speed Burn. I was going to say it the other way around. Number 9, Death Machine. And number 10, Exciter, self-titled. So there you have it, everybody. Great Canadian speed metal, thrash, heavy metal band, Exciter. Ranking the albums, all 10 of them, in the comments below. Please rank them as you like them. Your top 5, all 10. You want to include the re-recordings album or the EP or the live album, go right ahead. Do whatever you want, right? There's no right or wrong answer here. Just it's all about talking about cool bands on this channel. So thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up tonight, we've got The Monsters Den, Chris Allo, Rich Catino, and myself. We are going to be talking about our favorite horror film franchises of all time. So, those franchises where you've got multiple movies, where our criteria 3 or more, you have to have 3 or more. We're going to rank our favorites. So that's coming up tonight. You don't want to miss that. Tomorrow morning at the Funhouse, Martin Popoff and I are going to be talking about some of the great heavy metal magazines of yesteryear. Saturday, we've got the UK Connection, Simon Bray, Stephen Reed, and myself talking about some of our favorite and least favorite opening acts of concerts we saw in the 80s. And then we've got a great battle, an album homework assignment on Sunday. We've got Ken Golden from In the Prague Seat, owner of the Laser's Edge, going up against Steve Feigenbaum, who's also appeared on In the Prague Seat before, owner of Wayside Music and Cuneiform Records. They're good buddies. They've known each other for a million years. They've given each other their assignments, and we're going to see what that's all about on Sunday. So stay tuned for that and a lot more. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell. We've got the link to our Ko-Fi page below for channel donations, as well as the link to our merch page for all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility stuff. So go ahead and check that out, and we'll see you back here on the channel real soon. I am Pete Pardo. Have a good one, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.